Hello again, and this time we are going to talk about the energy credits, which is a kind of monetary unit used in Stellaris. And as an example, I'm using one empire, this one here, which is Lethal Instrument Hyperic Domains, which is a kind of medium empire. So it's not very trade-based or military-based. It is actually a despotic hegemony, which means that it doesn't care much about the citizen rights or things like that, but they are concentrating on creating technology and industry. They are also erudite explorers, which means that they like to survey and explore the universe. In this playthrough, which was done in observer mode, this empire was in the medium range. So they survived till the end of the game. They did not win it, but they did not lose it either. So if we look at the energy credit, you can see the statistics here in the upper left corner. So right now we are producing about a little more than 1,000 energy credits. The year is 2,400, which means that we are starting the end game phase. And we are also consuming about the same number, so it's quite well balanced. This is AI which has been playing this game. It's a little bit on negative, but not much. And so, where does our energy credit come from? As you can see from the window, we have here four components. As time goes in the future, we might have some more components, but this time we have four components. We have the base production, trade, stations, and jobs. So the base production, every single empire in the game is given this base production. It is usually 20 credits, which is a significant amount in the start of the game, but this phase of the game, it doesn't mean much. Then we have trade. And the trade system, it's not very complicated, but it does have some ingredients in it, so let's look very briefly those components. So the trade, some of the systems have trade values inside them. Even though they don't have any planets or starbases or anything, they might have some trade value. For example, this Kauri system, it has a trade value of 3. And that's because the star itself, no, look at it, it's actually here. There is a gas giant which is generating that trade value. This trade value must be collected somehow, and it's usually the star bases where you have some components which take care of the collecting. You must also safely transfer that trade value to your capital. Perhaps more of that on another video. Then there is trade value production in the planets. For example, here the trade value is 73, coming from POPs 17 and from Bob Jobs 40 and some modifiers. So the trade value is mostly generated by clerks. There might be some other population groups, but mostly by clerks, and the clerks they like to work on city districts. So you should have city districts and clerks to be able to generate the trade value. There are also some other buildings which provide trade value. So the next category is the stations. So as you can see, there are stations in the space which are generating energy credits. For example, here we have this. This is also a gas giant. It's generating free energy credits, but you must have a mining station to be able to utilize that those energy credits. And the fourth components are the jobs. So you do have some jobs which are generating energy units. For example, here you have, in this planet you have technicians producing 94 or 95 energy units. And those technicians are usually working on energy-related buildings. First of which is energy grid, but you can upgrade the building to provide even more. So, next we look at where are those energy credits consumed on. So in these games there seems to be a small amount of energy credit going to keeping the colonies. That is very rare. I think it might have something to do that we have gone over the limit. Here we have the empire sprawl and administrative capacity. I'm not sure about it, but even in this case, it's very small. But a large amount of energy credits are going to upkeeping the ships. So if you look at your ships, for example, here, and we take some, for example, this cruiser, you can see the upkeep cost here. So for this specific ship, it's 6.2 energy credits, which start to be quite a lot. And here you can also see the distinction between the base upkeep, which is 1.2, and the component upkeep, which is a lot more. It's about 5. So every ship you have needs some energy credits to survive. The next, we have the stations. So that means that when we have these, let's go and see here. For example, this mining station. Let's take this research station. So you can see that there is an upkeep of 1 energy credit included. The next category are the starbases. Let's again select one starbase, for example, this one here. No, there is nothing. Let's take that one. That is a good one. So, as you can see, the starbase itself, there is no upgrade. There is no energy units needed to keep it up. But however, the modules cost. So, for example, here, these modules, the upkeep is 1%, 1 energy credit, both of these, and this building, there is an upkeep cost here. Actually, this building does not have, but some of the buildings do. For example, the hydroponic base, the upkeep cost is 1 energy unit, and this one, which is the target uplink computer, it has 2. So different upkeep costs for different buildings. The next category are the buildings and districts. Let's go and see those. So if you look at here, for example, this mining district has an upkeep cost of 1 energy credit. This also means that you should not build in advance many districts, because you have the upkeep cost, but you have the income only when they are populated. So don't build beforehand many districts and buildings. And the buildings themselves also have upkeep cost. For example, here this building, which is administrative office, so it has an upkeep cost of 2, but when you upgrade it, the upkeep cost goes higher to 5 energy credits. Then we might have some smaller upkeep costs from the population. One thing are the armies. So it seems that the defending armies, they do not have any upkeep cost, but if you recruit assault armies, so they do, and it seems to be 1 energy credit per army. In these games, this empire does not have many armies, so the total upkeep cost is about 2 energy credits. Then one components are the leaders. So, for example, this governor here, the upkeep cost is 2 energy units. For the scientist it's 2, as well as the other. Here's actually this general is a little bit cheaper. And that's because he is eager, so he has a trade which lowers that amount. So, this is how they are produced and where they are consumed. What we might do now is to look how those components are developed over time. So, here we have the energy production in different years, so 2200, 2300, 400 and 500. So in the beginning of the game, in the beginning of the mid-game, in the beginning of the end game, and the final phase here. And you look at these sectors in a clockwise manner. So first, in the beginning of the game, the base income is actually quite nice. So it's about 1/4 of the income. You get some income from trade, station, and jobs. There's a small amount of income from buildings too. But it seems that the main source of income in this phase of the game are the jobs. When you go 100 years ahead, you're 2300, so the amount of trade is increasing, as well as the income from stations. But in this phase of the game, it's quite balanced, so one third coming from trade, 1/3 coming from the station, and 1/3 from the jobs, and then some additional amounts. If you go 100 years ahead, so the distribution seems to be quite the same, so there is not, the amounts are greater. For example, the trade is here 163, but here it is already above 400. But further you go in the game, the more important the trade seems to be. So in this final phase of the game, over half of the production is coming from trade. And this is a normal, kind of median empire. If you have a trade-based empire, this is even greater. As for the consumption, so you can see the figures here. Year 2200, so there's a small amount going to colonies, it's not included here. The ships is here, quite a small amount, as well as the stations and the starbases. This is a larger amount, and this is how much is going to the buildings. This is how much is going to the districts. So the buildings and districts, they are more than half of the energy consumption. And for that reason, it is very important that you are not building districts and buildings beforehand, just when you need those for your population. And then there is also some consumption for the jobs. When you go 100 years ahead, so it seems that the consumption on ships is growing, evidently. But other than that, what are the great changes? So also when we are having new starbases, so the costs are going up from 5 to 74. 100 years ahead, and the amounts are growing. For example, the ship consumption was here 61, here it's already 322, and actually the consumption on ships is more than 1/4. And also the buildings are requiring more and more money. And when we go to the last phase, we see that there are two major components. There are the ship maintenance and there are the building maintenance. And of course, the districts also still cost money. But other than that, the other areas are not so big. All right, that was all for this time. So thank you for watching, and we'll be back again.